Hi, I'm Slack, this is Tony and welcome to Smog Vlog. Today we're going to have a three-way. It's a face-off. Aspire K4, Vicino D30 from Wismec, Eleaf's iJust.
And welcome back in the room. Right, like the man said, we're having a three-way with you guys. No, we're not. We're having a three-way between these three. You know what three they are, otherwise you wouldn't be here in the first place. Funnily enough, it's almost a year to the day that we did our first face-off video between the iJust 2 and the C-Fibre. And just purely by coincidence, it's arrived at today that we're going to do this three-way for you of the three devices on the market that we feel are worthy.
Yeah, they're all really good devices. So, we want to put them through their paces and see if one comes out on top. And personally, I'm not sure that one device is necessarily going to come out on top for everything. However, each device has its own merits, and so something that may be important to you is going to be better on one device, and it's going to help you make your mind up if you're looking to buy. So we've actually spent a lot of time doing some sort of tests and actual analysis of it. We've got like spreadsheets coming out of our ears, which sounds ridiculous, but until you see these things on paper, you don't really appreciate the differences. So we're going to go through those with you. We're going to try and keep it quick. However, if you find our videos too long, don't forget timecode down below. You can skip to the bit that interests you, including outtakes at the end, because there probably will be some. It's us.
Sorry. So moving swiftly on, we are going to link you up, hopefully with the powers of YouTube right now. Also, bear with me because I haven't done this before, so I'm just guessing that I can do this. A link to all three videos, the individual videos for all three devices. If it's something that interests you, circle back round, click those links, find out in-depth knowledge about each device that we've reviewed. But for now, let's dive down and have a look at these three devices up close, personal, up the bum.
Right, let's get up close and handle these units. So we've got the K4, we've got the iJust, and we've got the D30. As you can see, D30 the shortest, only just, then iJust, and then the K4. K4 is the thinnest through to iJust being the middle one, and the big boy is the D30. For those who are measurement conscious, 138mm tall, 139-ish, and according to the website 136mm. I think they're lying somewhere, and we measured it 152. Width wise, 22mm format, 24.5, and the big boy is 30mm. Also, while we're talking about measurements, you got 128 grams here, 164 here, and a whopping 240 over here.
Oh.
So very quickly we'll take a tour of the charging ports. So the Aspire K4, you come down the bottom, you have it here, and you've got your light to indicate charging there. Ignore the leakage, changed coils, played about, done stuff got places. iJust is in the middle on the back, charging light underneath. D30 also on the back, again light next to it. I mean, it's basically the same idea with the iJust. Okay, coming up the top of the tanks, we'll have a quick look at these drip tips. So the K4 is Cleto, and yeah, look, you have this little plastic tube, Delrin's plastic, whatever. Inside here you can whack your own drip tip, but then you're left with this sort of rubber ring on display. It doesn't look particularly great, but it does work. The iJust has a metal look sort of drip tip, but the inside of it is plastic again. However, it is again standard drip tip. Looks a bit nicer when you pop your own one on there. The D30 has this sort of clear plastic, looks glass but no, plastic, tiny little drip tip. It is supposed to follow standard drip tip format, or even this one, it's really tough to get in and out. To get anything else, leave it. To get anything else in there, it will kind of go if you force it in a bit, but there's a job to get out. So all of the devices are top fill. Two of them, the K4 and the D30, have like just this loose glass construction. So you just drop your juice in there, if you were to knock your glass, pull your glass up, all that juice will dump out. You know, there's no escaping that. I've had that happen to me on the K4. Only once. You kind of learn from your mistakes. Oh, it wasn't really a mistake, it did just pop off on its own. We'll do the like for like one. Yeah, so here's inside the D30, you can see straight down into the coil there. Again, you could just pull that glass straight off, easy peasy, and you're in a world of trouble, or juice. And lastly, the iJust S, which actually has a bit of construction to the tank, so you know you can't just pop this glass off. Yet you still got a top fill, you know, you just fill it up through these little kidney holes. Slightly harder to fill, but you know, only by a gnat's whisker. And while we're talking about filling, both the iJust S and the Cleto K4 have actual sort of notches on the top to help you grip. The K4 is by far the best. Those notches really work. On the iJust S, they're there, but they're as much for show as anything else. They don't give you a major help. However, you're on your own with the D4. When you end up like it is now, covered in juice, it is a little bit tricky to open. Okay, travelling down the unit, we've got airflow adjustment. Now you've got 3 airflow holes on the K4, and quite easy to turn that, even though it's covered in juice. Everything is covered in juice, it's one of them days. But yeah, airflow adjustment's really easy, and the airflow on here is like tempestuous, to just say the least. It is awesome. While we're here, I'll just quickly show you the 510s. So on the K4 battery itself, you've got these airflow holes, and lots of juice, lots and lots of juice. You got good threads on both bits. Centre pin only just protruding, but you know, for the device itself it works perfectly, no worries. iJust S, okay, the airflow control is, wait a minute, time to get the cock ring out. Yeah, if you want airflow control you need to put this rubber bad boy over. Now interestingly enough, some of them seem to clip into place, some of them don't, so I don't know what's going on there. And we've certainly heard reports of some people's, like this one, just don't have any clips, and other people's we've seen actually have the clips in, so it will just sort of notch into place a little bit, and it won't just do this. So yeah, this is our airflow control. The airflow itself on the unit is good, it's nice and open, perhaps not quite as open as the Cleto, but it is very close. Threads again, on this a little bit finer. The battery itself is fine, and this protrudes ever so slightly more, however again it just works perfectly together. Lastly, but by no means leastly, we have the D30. Airflow control on the D30 is controlled by this sort of fairly discreet airflow control ring. There's no notches, there's no grooves really, and when you're covered in juice it is a little bit fiddly. However, you know, with airflow, once you get it how you like it, you don't move it, so that's not really a problem. Coming down to the 510 threads, so the centre pin is small but really does protrude quite nicely. The threads are good on this, and the same in there. You can see what's going on, you've got a bit of airflow in there, and all that good stuff. Quickly, we'll just show you the lights. So each of the devices, obviously we have the charging lights. Can you see that? That flashed 5 times. So yeah, with all of these devices there's like a light indicator to tell you how charged it is. You have a vape on here, it will stay lit for a certain amount of time. That is currently lit, believe it or not. If we're in the dark, there you go, you can just about see it. iJust S is exactly the same as the D30, where you know, there is a light there. You just kind of have to imagine it a bit, because if there's any light in the background it's very easy to get lost. You know, we're in a fairly dark room here, it's not mega bright. If you're outside in the sunshine, forget about it. However, we come over to the K4 and look, it's a blue indicator. It changes colour when the battery's going flat. It changes colour when it's charged. It's just, yeah, this is how it should be. You can see it, look, there's no doubt. In daylight this works, in daylight these do not work.
And here we are back in the room. Thank you Uppy Closey Slack for that interfering with 3 mods.
Yeah, juicy.
Now we're going to talk about battery capacity and juice capacity for all 3 devices. Battery capacity for the K4.
Yeah, so this is 2000 milliamp hour in here, which is the smallest of the 3. However, this is also the lightest unit of the 3. So again, this is going to be a trade-off. Yes, you get less battery capacity, but you know, there's a few things that trade off here. The weight, you know, so you're not going to be carrying as much weight around with you. Also, the coils that come with this, and from my opinion and Tony's opinion, the 0.27 ohm coils are the best coils there are. 0.4 next to 0.2 after that. Now the coils, these 0.27, they're the highest resistance of the coils that we're using across these three devices, which means your battery will last longer. So the lower the resistance of the coil, the more the drain on the battery, and so, you know, the more battery life you're going to get by that higher resistance coil. So again, trade off that sort of negates some of that lower battery capacity.
Next up is the iJust S, a 3000 milliamp hour battery, also middle of the road for the weight class.
Yeah, so you get an extra 1000 milliamp hour on here over the K4, which is good. However, the best coil to use in this, in my opinion, is the 0.18. That gives you the best clouds, best flavour, and, you know, best sort of vaping experience. However, with that lower resistance coil, you're going to be draining through your battery just that little bit quicker. I think you still get more battery life out of this than the K4, but again, trade-off, it's heavier.
Next up is the Wismec
D30.
Vicino D30, also a 3000 milliamp hour performer, and is also the heaviest in the class.
Yeah, so this is a big boy battery, and, you know, size for size, you know, you're getting the same capacity out of the two batteries, and the size difference and weight difference is noticeable. However, you do get other features with the D30, which is where the weight comes in, like the adjustable power and bypass mode, you know, all there. And while we're talking about the batteries themselves, you know, let's talk about charge time. What we found is that, you know, you're around about the 4-hour mark for a full charge from flat on both the iJust S and the D30. Now, that's because they're 3000 milliamp hour batteries. It's a slightly faster charge for the Aspire K4, which stands to reason because that is a smaller capacity battery.
Moving on to the juice capacity for all three. As with everything that's sold, they've got a stated capacity, but, you know, we're who we are, so we measured it as well with Mr. Syringy. Now, the stated capacities for all three is the K4 comes out at 3.5 millilitres, the iJust S comes out at 4 millilitres, and the Vicino D30 comes out at 6 millilitres.
Yeah, that's the advertised sort of, you know, filling ranges. However, what we found with our testing is that, yeah, the K4, the Cleto, is 3.5, you know, it is pretty much on the nail. The iJust S, however, advertised 4, that took quite a lot over for it. It's nearer 5, you know, if you fill it right up. Whereas the Vicino D30, that's advertised as 6, but we found that to be under 6. We're talking like 5.5, something like that. One thing we've already mentioned is about the coils that we use and that come with it. So let's just very quickly run through that. So the Aspire K4, that comes with two 0.27 Clapton coils. They're really good flavour, and, you know, really good cloud production, really nice coils, but they're very big, you know, they're big ass suppository jobs, you know, you can't miss them. Moving to the iJust S, that comes with actually a range of coils, which is quite good, you know, depending on what you want. If you're not sure what you want, it's nice to have that mix. So it comes with the 0.18 stainless steel coils. They're our favourite. Again, best flavour out of the bunch for the iJust S. Also really good cloud production, you know, from the power you're getting out of it. It also comes with a 0.3, which was our previous fave. Also the 0.5, which we find is good if you want a weaker vape. And lastly is the D30. Now that comes with two 0.2 ohm triple coil head coils. And while you do only get the 0.2 coils, if you did want to turn it down a bit, you know, you have the actual power adjustment on the unit, so you can just lower the wattage. So it gives a similar thing like with the iJust S changing between the 0.3 and the 0.5. You can just turn it down and you produce a similar effect.
While we're on Coil Options, it's worth noting about Coil Options that you're able to purchase after you've purchased this, so separate from this actual device. Running through them chronologically, or some other logically, because apparently I used that word wrong. The K4 has the 0.2 and the 0.4 ohm coils available for it.
Yeah, we liked the 0.4 when they were initially out. It was pretty decent. We found the 0.2 a little bit spitty. However, it is worth noting that in the instructions it does say that you're only supposed to use the coils that come with it. they're fairly hard to find. We've had people say that you know, do these 0.27 coils exist? Yeah, they do. Check the Aspire websites and stuff, and there are limited places, but you're not going to see them in every vape shop. They're just not that popular for some reason. We reckon they're the best.
Next up is the iJust S, and as my learned colleagues has been whispering in my ear, there is a metric fuck ton of coils available for it. What's already comes in the box is the 0.18, the 0.3 and the 0.5. They also have titanium and Ni200.
However, obviously these devices themselves can't do temp control, so don't be trying to fit those in there. So you need to avoid all temp control coils across all three of these devices. However, yeah, there are, like we said, a metric fuck ton of coils available for the iJust S. It is a really, really common format. You've got third-party vendors like Atom Vapes, you know, making coils for it in all different sorts. It's compatible with the Aspire something or others, Nautilus maybe.
Yeah,
and it's just a really common format. Even Vapresso are bringing out a replaceable filter cartridge for it. Very, very common format. So in terms of being able to find coils for the iJust S, it's going to be really easy for you. You will find a coil for the power of your liking.
and finishing off the three with the D30 available coils, we've also found that Wismec produce the Amore coil range, which are available in 0.5 and 1 ohm.
Also, there's an RBA section for it as well, so you know, for those who like to rebuild themselves to save a bit of money, you have that option. However, haven't seen it, haven't done it myself, but you know, they're there, they are compatible. Yeah, and while we're talking about coils, it's really impressive to see, you know, how much performance you get out of the D30 coils, considering they're so small. You know, they are just about the smallest out of the three. You know,
yeah,
sort of very close to the iJust S sort of coils, but you know, different order of magnitude to the giant Cleto coil. Okay, next up, let's just quickly talk about sort of colour options and styling. So the K4, it's got this carbon fibre effect going on, and like you get a colour matched tank up top. Black and pink are your options here, and I think they both look really, really cool. They've probably got the best presentation out of all of them for me. If you don't like carbon fibre, then it's probably not going to be for you. However, both of these come in two options: silver, as pictured here, and black as well. And neither of them, I don't think, look particularly great in black, but it's a personal thing again, you know, it is entirely personal. This sort of brushed stainless effect, it looks really good, it looks smart, it looks clean, even when they're throwing juice everywhere, because we've overfilled them, we've poured the juice out, we've poured the juice on ourselves, and yeah, it's going wild.
Not to detract from the colour options, but the black does look good. I remember when I was ordering the iJust S, I was thinking to myself, should I get it in black this time?
In real life, it doesn't look as good as the pictures. It looks like a screen printed black on metal. It doesn't look quite as good as it does in the brochure. Yeah, so with regards to the styling, I mean, we can't really tell you what you like, but you can see it. You've seen them up close, so you know, one of them you go look at and go, fuck, that's sexy, or maybe two of them if it's you know, it's personal. Really is. This time it's personal. Okay, we're about done talking about the technical stats and comparing those across the devices. It's time to get into sort of the real world use of it. Now, if you've seen our reviews for either of these products or anything recently, we do heat tests and bear with us, you know, we each take a hit. It's kind of like a torture test on the device. We started doing this primarily to see how the device heats up, you know, how the tank heats up. Does the tank travel the heat down into the mod, and you know, do we get any concerns with heat? Do we get hot drip tips that become uncomfortable? Again, this is more than you would usually use, but we like to see how these things handle. We found that this is also a really good way to test like flavour and wicking, airflow, and you guys are going to see the clouds that it's producing. And so hopefully, you know, this is going to help, you know, find the right device for you. We are using a different juice in each of these, and there is an actual reason for that, but they're all a 70-30 mix. So we've got a lychee lemonade in one from Zap, we've got a homebrew that I make all the time in another one, then we've got some Fruit Loops in the other one, so you know we are all good to go. So first up we're going to be hitting the K4. Now from our experience, we found that this gives the biggest clouds and has the biggest airflow. You know, there's going to be a link there. The flavour's good with the 0.27, but let's just hit it up and see what it's got.
For information, we're not using it with the heat cuff this time.
Yeah, we're going bareback. Can't find the button.
It's a good start.
We're in here somewhere. Right, last one for science. Okay, I mean that is really cold. The Cleto itself can get quite hot if you're using it on a regulated mod and cranking the power right up, because the coil itself can handle that. Here we had a little bit of heat at the top of the tank, but there's nothing travelling down into the battery. You have absolutely sort of no concerns there. The drip tip got ever so slightly warm, but barely warm, you know. It handles the heat really good. You've got a nice wide open drip tip, wide open airflow, so as you saw there were clouds for days, bro.
As for the flavour on the K4 Cletus, as we like to call it, it was fine. As in our review that we did ages ago, it's fine. It wicks fine, the flavour is fine, and the flavour of Slack's personal juice is wiggly. Oh, ever so wiggly. All due to that secret ingredient.
Special sauce. Yeah, as Tony said, no dry hits, no wicking issues, and these coils, there's just so much sort of, you know, cotton exposed to the juice there that it just wicks it straight in, and yeah, it works a charm. Also worth mentioning, there's not really much of a ramp up time on your first hit if the device has been sat idle for a while. You know, first hit, it's there pretty much straight away, which is good.
Instant on action.
So next up we're going to be doing the same for the iJust S. This is with the 0.18 coil in it. It gives the best clouds, it gives the best flavour in our opinion. So let's just do it.
And he's said everything, so I've got nothing to tell you. Lychee lemonade. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely no sort of wicking issues yet, no heat noticeable. That'll probably do.
Good. One more.
Go on.
I'm joking.
Yeah, so heat wise, again, this is really similar to the Cleto, a little bit cooler on the tank. Now let's go down to the chimney design. Also we've got a double skin drip tip on here with the Delrin on the inside and the sort of metal coating on the outside. The drip tip has a slight bit of heat, but the rest of the tank doesn't. The battery itself is nice and cold. If you wonder why I keep doing that, lip's really sensitive, that's where I test temperature with. Occasionally doesn't work out so well and you end up melting your lip a little bit. That's not fun, but it's not happening today, you know. Flavour wise, yeah, the flavour was really good. That stainless steel coil is an improvement over the previous Canthol coils there.
So airflow on the iJust S, just a touch under the Cleto's airflow that it's got going on there. It's still really good. Flavour wise, absolutely bang on. Those 0.18 coils doing the job nicely.
Yeah, what Tony was supposed to tell you then was we were running it with the cock band off, you know, so airflow wide open. That's how we personally like to vape, a nice sort of, you know, direct lung hit. But with all of these tanks, you do still have the option of dialing the airflow down to get a more restrictive sort of mouth to lung type hit, but that's kind of not what they're designed for. Okay, and last out of the three, we're going to hit the D30. We've got the airflow wide open, and let's just do it.
Hitting it with those 0.2 ohm triple coils.
What you probably saw at the start there was a long hit with nothing happening when I was exhaling through the device. The first hit does take a while to go. However, you know, once it's going, as you can see, the vapour builds up.
I think for the Vicino D30 we've got it dialed up to 50 watts on the adjustment at the bottom.
Yeah, so this will go higher and lower. But I found generally that's kind of a sweet spot for this type of device for me. Okay. So, I mean, this is cool as a cucumber. Again, the power does go up, so it would get a bit hotter. You've got a little bit of warmth on the metal at the top, but the drip tip itself is cool as cucumber. The mod itself is completely cool. There isn't any sort of heat running down it or any heat from the battery.
Again, wicking and flavour performing as should be. No dry hits on that torture test that we just did. Flavour wise, taste of loops as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so usually in our reviews we finish up on pros and cons, where we go through the device that we're reviewing and tell you what's good about it, what's bad. Here, rather than doing that, I think we're going to go through sort of several of the elements of the devices and say which device is better, and then we'll see if we can sort of form an opinion where we'd pick a mod if possible. So yeah, let's do that. So first up, talking about flavour, because for me that's quite an important feature. And actually, because these devices don't necessarily, you know, they're not a 200 watt box mod. You know, you can't just turn them up as high as you want. You know, D30 you can adjust, but you know it does only go to the 60 watts. So none of these tanks are really performing to their true potential. So I think the flavour works out fairly even among the lot of them. Wicking is probably a bit better on the Cleto, I would say, but we are talking minimally. It is really minimal, but flavour wise, pretty equal.
Next up is airflow for all the devices. Now the K4 with the Coleto tank, it is the most open and in our view probably the airiest, closely followed by the iJust S. There's not a lot in it. It is so fucking minimal. We tried them both and it was like but that being said, the D30 isn't a million miles away as well. It's such a close race.
Yeah, so while we're talking about airflow, the D30 is slightly more restricted, but that kind of works in its favour if you are looking for a mouth to lung hit. It's easier to restrict that. I don't like the airflow design of the iJust S. That cock band is just hideous. It looks crap when it's on, particularly as if you buy the black one, you still get the sort of whitey clear translucent silicon cock band, and it just looks awful. The best airflow control, certainly if you like it wide open or fairly wide open, has got to be on the Cleto. It's the easiest to use and it just works the best.
Next up is the battery life for you. Now obviously the K4 being a 2000 milliamp hour versus the other two, the D30 and the iJust S being 3000 milliamp hours.
The D30 itself actually has a wattage adjustment, which means you can sort of adjust the amount of battery life, but again it's going to be a trade-off against the performance you get out of it. Whereas the other two units, they kind of work on a direct voltage thing, so whatever your charge is at is similar but not to a mech mod, the way it works. So it's relative to the resistance of the coil and the voltage at the time. What this does mean is that as the batteries are dying in the K4 and the iJust S, they will sort of peter down a bit slowly. Whereas when you're running a fixed variable wattage, it's trying to deliver that 50 watts the whole time, and it will just get to a point where it can't do it, and so it will go from working fine to dead very quickly. But in terms of general usage, so though the K4 is only 2000 milliamp hours, you know, it isn't as bad as the specs look. You do get slightly more than you would expect. You know, you do get more with the iJust S and the D30. However, it's not by as much as you would think.
And that's because of the coil resistance and the amount of power for each hit. Next up for you guys is button quality and lights we're going to go with. Now, the man just threw it to me, which do I prefer? And I'm going to have to go with the iJust S due to the redesign of the larger button on the S. And while not great with the lights, there are workarounds of being able to see the light. The D30 has a very elongated, small, slender button. While easy to find, the light does not shine through on the USB on the back. And for me, the K4, while it has the colour changing light having the indicator on, it is actually a smooth button, so I find it quite difficult to find.
Yeah, personally I do find the K4 button a little bit difficult to find. However, it is by far my favourite out of all of them. I like that sort of recess button. I press it accidentally fewer times than I do the other two. And it's the lights. It's all about the lights. This is the only one you can actually use as a sort of indicator to know what your charge is at if you're out in daylight. Yeah, I'm not going to be hunkering down trying to fucking look to see what my charge level is at. It's the same thing. It's just an LED. Why is it so difficult for the other two? The mind boggles.
For me, while the K4 it is nice with its colour changingness, I would definitely take being able to find my button when I've got the mod in my mouth over being able to see what my charge is like.
Yeah, for me, I can find the button easy enough because you know it's just below the tank, and if you need to turn it a little bit till you get it, it's easy enough. You know, it's not difficult to find it for me. But you know, again, it is a personal preference. You know, some people like clunky buttons, some people like, you know, sort of silent buttons. Yeah,
similar with the C fibre. I couldn't find the button with the C fibre. With the original iJust 2, I could. Horses for courses.
Exactly. But what I will say, across all three devices, we have very few misfires. You know, you press the button, and when your hand's on the button, you press it, it works. You know, I've not had any worries or concerns when you go try and take a hit, whether it's going to work. The only thing to remember, obviously, is with the D30, there's that ramp up time on that very first hit, and so you do wonder whether it's on or off at the time. Okay, next up, we're going to quickly talk about the drip tips. Now, I have to admit, for different reasons, I don't like any of these drip tips. So the K4 has the most wide open bore of the lot, but it's just a little plastic tube, and if you want to change it to your own drip tip you can, but it looks daft because you can then, I mean, look at it, it just looks daft. You've got this sort of rubber O-ring sort of running around the outside, and it just doesn't look right. But you know, in terms of functionality, this one has the most airflow, it's the most open, and it works just fine. The iJust S, the reason I don't like this, it's the plastic coated in metal. Personally, I just prefer a nice big metal drip tip if it's going to look metal. However, they have done the implementation okay. You know, you almost can't tell it's that coated sort of thing going on, so we kind of forgive it a bit. And the worst of the bunch is the tiny little D30 with this pathetic, like, you know, choke hazard of a clear plastic. Yeah, it's horrible. You know, you stick a different drip tip on here and it looks miles better. However, this is very much a personal preference thing, whether you like a massive drip tip or just like settle for a tiny one.
Echoing what Slack said, I completely agree, so we're on the same page with this one. Moving on. So, summing up for this review between the K4, the iJust S and the D30. Is there any one best device? The answer is of course no. You've got to pick the device that is best for you, what your personal needs are for this device, be it battery life, vapour production, flavour, airflow, mouth to lung. These are all things you need to add up and then decide for yourself which one is best. So based on all of these factors, once you add it all together, you should then be arriving at the answer of which device is best for you. So Slack, what is the best device for you?
Well, as we said earlier, it is a real trade-off. All three of these devices are great, and if I only had one of them, I would be happy with it, whatever it was. And it really depends on the application for which one I would choose. So if I was going to go out clubbing for the night and I needed something sort of lightweight, chuck some clouds out in the smoking area, you know, it's got to be the K4. For me, extra weight of the iJust S and the D30 sort of rule it out, and you know, the performance of the K4 is kind of up there with the iJust S anyway, which is its nearest weight competitor. So yeah, K4 is a very strong contender for me. However, you've got the Wismec D30, and where that comes into its own is the fact that you can manually adjust the wattage. That's going to be a great feature for a lot of starters. However, to counter that, the trade-off, you know, the weight would be a bit restrictive. If this is your first pen kit, it is really big, you know. People tend to start on Cigalikes and go to Ego batteries, and they sort of go up. This is not really in that form factor. You know, if the iJust S had that D30 power adjustment, that would probably be the device for me. However, D30 on its own, getting back on track, D30 on its own is brilliant. I've run 30mm drippers on there, and it runs it so well. It's sort of a more dynamic device, and that kind of suits me. But not if I'm going out clubbing and trying to stick it in my back pocket. So it is a real trade-off. But you know, we've got to pick one, and I guess I'm going to have to say the K4, because that would be the sort of thing that I would use a pen type device for more out and about, and the weight and performance for me is what win it through. So Tony, what about you? If you had to pick one, which would it be and why?
Okay, so not the easiest question in the world to answer, which one device is best. I'm just going to throw it out there, the iJust S, simply because it's middle of the road for me, for my personal vaping habits. I could see scenarios where the other two would be beneficial, same as Slack. However, just going with the knee-jerk reaction, iJust S, just simply because it is middle of the road.
Right, what we should mention is price as well. We can't actually say the prices exactly, but what we will say is the Aspire K4 generally works out cheaper, the iJust S slightly more expensive, and the Vicino D30 a fair bit more expensive. They're all still affordable kits, but you know, that may help sort of, you know, put things in perspective.
As with Flavour, price is completely subjective from country to country. We're based in the UK, and we are literally just basing that on UK high street prices or interwebs prices. Okay guys, so that about sums up our face-off between the Aspire K4, the Wismec D30 and the Eleaf iJust S. Thank you for watching. We hope you like what you see and what we're doing for you. If you do, please drop us a like and do the whole subscribe thing, because it helps us out a lot. Also, follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, because we are a bit
chatty. Yeah, and if you've got any questions about any of these devices, we didn't compare something that you thought we should have done, just hit us up in the comment section below or reach out to us on those social medias. We will be only too happy to help. Yeah, also if you've got any experience with any of these devices, let us know in the comments section, you know, how you feel about them, whether you agree with what we're saying or whether you disagree. You know, it's perfectly fine, so just let us know. It'd be interesting to hear from you. But for now guys, thanks very much for watching Smog Vlog. Oh, we're recording.
Indeed we are. Focused, sounders right.
Nice.
Fuck. Shut you cunt.
That's your broken hand, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, it is now. Lights, drip tips, action. Okay, travelling down. Oh, easy. Let's move them over a bit. Lastly, but no,
Has that even got anything? Oh right, yeah, cool.
fuck, that's harsh.
Oh please, can I?
Yeah, yeah, you can. Great, that's on camera. Right, I'm going to stop recording.
I get the fat one.
Yeah, yep. I'll get the tall thin one. You can put it down, because I will introduce it. Put it down. Put it down. Lower. Ready?
Lower.
Excellent. Haven't even started. And
You
lost
said
it.
lower.
I know. But
Zaf Brannigan.
I know. Deliberately, like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you what? Complain about the result?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's dive down and have a look at these three devices up close, personal, up the bum.
Do we have to have up the bum in there?
It's me, so yes.
Shit, son. Was that like a massive cloud?
No, I was just laughing at you going through all three.
Yeah.
It's like me with boobs. Can't just go with one. I mean, the other one will get jealous.
You need all three, full total recall
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah. That's a different class of motorboating right there.
A two-man motorboat. Brilliant.
It's like motorboating and Eskimo kisses at the same time.
Oh dear.
What fucking direction do these reviews take?
Yeah, always the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Madness. Sheer madness.
Both of these throw juice at me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so with regards to the styling, I mean, we can't really tell you what you like, but you can see it. You've seen them up close. So, you know, one of them you go look at and go, fuck, that's sexy. Or maybe two of them if it's you know, it's personal. Really is. This time it's personal. What?
Sounded like a shite movie. This time it's personal.
God. Okay, so enough talking about the stats and comparing, you know, each other's.
You're going to take the long black one, are you? And I'll take the stuffy silver.
Short and thick does the trick. Long and thin goes right in. That's from
Why not?
one of the women at work said that the other day. I'm like, brilliant.
And, you know, a spare in the room just in case.
So, Tony, what about you? If you had to pick one, which would it be and why?
What's that? Cilla Black. Surprise, surprise. For fuck's sakes.
I'm glad you got that.
It's funny because all the time you were talking there, I was thinking this format
Feels familiar.
kind of feels like.
Very
Also, I was thinking snog, marry, avoid.
Bear with us.
That's for you while you wait. I think I inhaled some vapour there. No, not inhaled.
That is the idea.
Swallowed.
Bellend.
Thanks for your concern. Means so much to me as always. I have actually done that before and then burped vapour out. Again, with the concern.
You're still here, aren't you?
Okay guys, so that about sums up our review. It's not a review. If we are, please drop us a like and do the whole subscribe thing because it helps us out a lot. We're also quite chatty, aren't we?
Yep.
So if you're quite chatty, follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. because that completely fucks your line up.
Yeah.